We've all been there before, with that one thought in our head that we just can't get out. The more we try, the harder it becomes to let go of it. And of course, this is magnified now in the era of COVID-19, where there's so many things that we just can't control, but we're thinking about. When will the pandemic end? Will there be a second wave? How will this impact the economy, and what will happen to my job? These are serious worries that are affecting a lot of individuals regardless of the domain that you operate in. And in some cases, worrying can become excessive to the point where roughly 5% of the population experiences what's called generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. Now, regardless of whether it's extreme or moderate, the ironic thing about worrying is that it actually leads to more tension in the body, and that physical tension cycles back and decreases performance, which makes it more difficult for us to deal with the challenge and stressor at hand. And so what can we do to deal with this more effectively? If it's that detrimental to our performance, why do we all do it? The awareness to this question is critical because before we can come up with any solutions, we have to have a clear understanding of why we do something. And so for this theme, we're going to focus on reframing, or changing our perspective to dealing with anxiety and stress a little bit more productively. Now, this session, when we have our workshop on Mindful Mondays, we're going to talk about why it is that people get into the cycle of worrying. And specifically, we're going to talk about two things. One is that we often equate worrying to problem solving, and so that we feel like we're actually doing something with the trouble that we're dealing with. And we're going to talk about how that's actually a false hope in terms of dealing with stress. The second and really interesting thing is there's an emotional aspect to worrying. One of the reasons people worry is so that they don't have to experience a drop from positive emotional affect to negative emotional affect. Something that's called emotional contrast avoidance. And so often people just play it safe. They induce a negative emotional state through worrying so that if the thing that they're worried about actually happens, they don't feel bad about it. And it's a really intricate and interesting cycle to break down and unpack. And so what we'll do is we're going to discuss these two things, as well as how we can reframe the same stressors to actually deal with the worry a little bit better by front-loading and being mindful and by using relaxation techniques. So again, the Mindful Monday sessions happen at 12 o'clock for all of the MBA programs and at 12:30 for all of the faculty staff. And so tomorrow we look forward to chatting with you and working through some of these issues.